Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is a show where your questions make the show. Without your questions, I don't have a show. As you can see, this is part 2 of Ask Earl Anything in February, and I'm going to continue on with the questions. This is the second show, so the next question comes from Rich Raw Dog. He said, great episode. It was on the hobbies, bass drum, drumsticks, great sounds. I think it was the December one. But it could have been January. I can't remember anymore. I'm too old. I'm an old man. All right. Great episode, Earl. You notice that you're doing about a cover a day. This is him calling me out. This was definitely the January one. You're still highly motivated, and you do great job at motivating others. Okay. Well, I hope I'm motivating others today. I also have a blocked playlist. Here's a question for next time. I've been considering downsizing my equipment. 15-piece drum kit for a drum room. Oh, let's see. 1 5-piece kit for a drum room. 1 kit for gigs, and 2 sets of cymbals. I know you probably have a massive amount of equipment. Have you ever considered downsizing? All right, Rich, great question from the guy who just keeps buying stuff like the Paiste 2000 sound reflector hi-hat top and the 6.5 by 14 Black Beauty. I have not considered downsizing yet. I do think about it periodically. I guess when my grandkids get a couple more years, my grandson Asher, who helped me with some drum covers this weekend, I don't know. I may be giving him a drum kit at some point. You know what I mean? They have a drum kit. I may give him his own cymbals. That'll be his. That's what I'm keeping gear for right now. My friend Matthew Jackson just gave me an E-drum kit. So I've got a set of Alesis mesh head kits. And I did a cover, Julian Lennon, where I was using the E-drums, the toms. That was kind of interesting. I'm definitely not downsizing gear. What's my thoughts on having 2 kits? You need to have probably 2 kits if you're a guy that wants to keep something set up in your house. If you can get away with playing just a 5-piece kit, which I think you can, sure, use a 5-piece kit. You don't need 7, 10, you don't need 20 drums to play drum covers or to even practice. I love playing on a 4-piece kit, to be honest. I love playing on 8 toms, 10-piece kit. So it depends on what day of the week and what I'm doing. But yeah, I think you could do it. As far as downsizing, I've learned I don't want to get rid of cymbals until I don't really have a reason to have a lot of cymbals. And then when I have to pick, like, I talked to my wife about this a lot. We talked about one day selling this house, moving to a condo or something. What am I going to have? And that's why when Matthew Jackson handed me the electronic drums, I was like, well, maybe in 5-10 years, I'll be in a condo somewhere. I won't be doing drum covers necessarily, so I probably would have 1 kit for gigging. I probably would keep my Gretsch kit. I probably would give everything else away. What cymbals would I keep? I love cymbals, Rich. I love cymbals so much that I have too many of them. So it'd be hard for me to get rid of my cymbals, to be honest. I can't get rid of my Sabians, and I've been talking about, like, I should get rid of those Sabian cymbals so I don't play them anymore. I played them for a long time. Understand that. I played them for a long time. But I've kind of lost interest in playing my Sabian cymbals, so. Anyhow, I've considered, but I haven't done it, so. Thanks for asking the question, Rich. It's a great question. All right, here's another question. This comes from Dennis Hertz, like says my name is pronounced like Ritz crackers, so it's H-R-I-Z. Oh, Dennis Ritz, but it has an H in front of it, so it's not Hertz, it's Ritz. Dennis Ritz, this is your question. Sorry if I mispronounced it at first, but it took me a while to understand what you were trying to say there. Just because I can't read. I don't read well, apparently. So, all right. Love sharing about cymbal choices. What's your setup for church worship? I play an Istanbul 19-inch crash ride, 14-inch Istanbul traditional hats, Sabian HH Vanguard 18, and a Zildjian A fast crash. Okay. And I answered the question for you. And probably what I said was probably pretty darn close to true. Most of my church stuff I play at the church I play at, because I haven't been playing a lot of freelance church stuff because I turn it down right now, is 14-inch Corobes or new beats, 14-inch new beat hi-hats, 19-inch Corobe, 22-inch Corobe ride cymbal, or 22-inch Avidus ride cymbal. And then I use either a 19-inch Armand ride as a crash with the sizzles in it, the beautiful baby, or the 18-inch Sound Control HH cymbal, or an 18-inch Armand crash occasionally. But why? The Zildjians work in the room. The Paistes are too bright. I've used the Paistes in the room, and I've gotten away with the giant beats, I will say that. If I use the thinner giant beats, I can make them work in that room fine. But if I use Zildjian, if I use the Paiste 2002 crashes, and I use these Sound Edge hi-hats, they just bite the room, man. They just bite right through. So you got to pick gear that's going to work in the room. That's pretty important. So that's my rule of thumb about playing in churches. Okay, the next one is from, let's see who it's from. Okay, this comes from Greg Onehoff. So it's Wonhoff, Onehoff. And the question is this. I have a question for you for your next show because, as you say, without a question, there would be no show. That's correct. I do say that. Do you set up your cymbals in a certain sequence according to their pitches, or are they set up in any old manner with the exception of your ride being to your right? Okay. Greg, that's a great question. Let's take a stab at it. First off, I never set up my cymbals in any old way. That's the first part of the question. I always set up my cymbals with intentionality, why I want a cymbal in a certain place. Now, do I want the higher pitch cymbals on the left and the lower pitch cymbals on the right? Not particularly. Some days, I want the high pitch cymbal over here on the right. That's where I want it. I'm going to be coming down, and that's the cymbal of the day that I want to be hitting. Sometimes I want it off to the left. Depends on my mood. On this kit lately, it's been 18-20. It's been what works with this kit. A lot of times, I'll put a 16 crash here with an 18. Or I'll put a 16 here, a 20, and an 18 over here. 3 crash cymbals. Where I put a China or an effects cymbal, that's a whole nother ball game. Usually my ride cymbal is about in this area, either low or high, depending on the setup. If I'm playing a big kit, it's got to be high. Playing a 4-piece kit, it's going to be low. I always pick cymbals on what I want for sound for the track I'm playing and what I'm looking for with my ears. But it's not a conscious, I want the higher pitch over here, and then I want the next higher pitch, and then the lower pitch. You know, I don't do it that way. That's just not how I set up. Now, some guys may do that. That's not how I do it. I set it up depending on the song I'm playing. So my setups are pretty much song specific, and that's how I choose it. Now, effect cymbals can be anywhere from way over here to way over here. Splashes usually end up in the middle or off to the side over here. I'm good usually for 2 crash cymbals on almost every song. I like to have 2 crashes, 1 ride, and a set of hats. And that's my baseline. Every once in a while, just for a change, I'll take a crash ride cymbal for my ride, and I'll take a crash ride cymbal for my left crash, and I'll just use 2 cymbals. I can do that with the Cropes. I can do that with the Avidus. I can do that with the giant beats a lot. They work really well in those capacities. I've done a gig with an 18-inch giant beat and a 20-inch giant beat. Works fine. So it all depends on what I'm looking to do. But yeah, I don't have that rule, but it's definitely not haphazard. It is extremely decisional what I do and why I do it. It has to do with the sound and what makes sense to me with my ears. So, great question, though. Thank you, Greg, for that question. All right, the next question came on the question with my show on my friend, actually the drum cover that my friend Scott Hazen did. And here was the question. He says, one question that wasn't answered when you guys were doing the video together. That was Scott and me. Did you start out playing traditional grip and then switch it sometime, or did you always use the grip you use now? Well, first off, I don't always use match grip, and I don't always use traditional grip. I did start out playing traditional grip, and most kids my generation played traditional grip. That was the grip that you played. Now, I turned it around when I started doing a lot of gigs where I had to play cross stick Latin music, okay? So I'd be playing, you know, and I like the cross stick sound of the back of the stick, the butt of the stick versus this. So that was what got me into it, because I would come from here and I could go back to this by flipping it over, and that's why a lot of traditional players play with the butt of the stick. And most match guys play it this way, with the tip of the stick on their cross stick. But I don't play it that way because I like to play my match grip with the back of the stick, because what started to happen when I was playing these gigs where I had to play rumbas and cha-chas, you know, and you're doing one of those rumbas. Rumbas and cha-chas things, or cha-chas would be cha-cha thing. When I was doing those club dates, I just got used to using the back of the stick, so then it transferred and I realized my snare sounded better with the back of the stick, so I started using the back of the stick, and then I started playing more match grip. And the more match grip I played, the more power I seemed to have. And then I got into rock bands, and I was in an original band, and I was playing on a lot of rock clubs in town and concerts and stuff, and the back of the stick became my way to play. And I've never given that up. That's still my go-to way to play, is this match grip with the back of the stick. Now, when I play jazz, I'll go to traditional. When I play brushes, I do traditional. But I learned how to play traditional. I can still play traditional. I sometimes practice traditional, but I like matched. So I don't think I really helped my playing, by the way, flipping it around the way I did and all that other stuff, but that's another story for another time. So yes, I did start with with traditional grip. All right, and I did Mickey F's question. I think I got to everybody. Wow, a lot of questions today. Anyhow, this is Ask Earl Anything. This is the place where your questions make the show. Without your questions, I don't have a show. Thank you all for watching. I don't know if this turned into a 1 show or a 2 show. But if it turned into a 1 show, it's going to be a really long 1 show. And if I turn it into a 2 show, it's a very short 2nd show probably. But we'll see what happens. I may cut it up and do something different this go round. It's my new way of doing things. Anyhow, I appreciate your questions. Without your questions, we don't have a show. Thank you all for watching and your input and your support of my channel, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.